Today we will watch recaps of a time traveler movie, The StrongHold. Even as a teenager, he continues to be haunted by nightmares and develops a strong fear of heights. One day, he hesitates to go on a school trip to the mountains to witness a solar eclipse due to his phobia. However, his mom convinces him to go by assuring him that his father will always protect him. Meanwhile, in the distant past, a shaman is using magic to find the Stone of Power. The fire in front of him takes the shape of a dragon head, matching the image on Vit'ko's jacket. During the excursion, Vit'ko, along with his friend Vovchik, enjoys the day with a self-made toy plane and fireworks. As they approach a bridge, Vit'ko freezes in fear, and Vovchik has to drag him back. The class laughs, thinking Vit'ko wet himself, but it was actually a water bottle in his pocket. Embarrassed, Vit'ko hides behind a cliff, and Vovchik follows, reminding him they don't need such friends. However, an eclipse begins and an earthquake hits. Vovchik is in danger, but Vit'ko is paralyzed by fear. Suddenly, a magic portal opens, absorbing Vit'ko and his megaphone. When Vit'ko opens his eyes, he's transported 1,000 years into the past. Nearby, a man named Oleshko is attacked by enemy Kumans. Oleshko easily defeats the soldiers, but faces a challenge from their leader, Andako. The situation becomes intense as Andako overpowers Oleshko and captures him with more soldiers. At that moment, Vit'ko accidentally activates the megaphone while trying to get a better look. This distracts the soldiers, giving Oleshko a chance to escape. Oleshko, having a horse, picks up Vit'ko and they reach a river. Oleshko summons a spirit to create a path, making Andako and the Kumans give up and leave. Oleshko takes Vit'ko to his village, breaking a rule, and gets scolded by town leaders. The villagers find Vit'ko's clothes and way of speaking strange, suspecting him as a spy. They lock him up until they decide what to do. Andako informs the shaman, who is surprisingly happy, realizing Vit'ko matches his visions of the Stone of Power guide. Later, Olenka, a young girl, visits Vit'ko, bringing him milk and confirming he's in the year 1120. Oleshko takes Vit'ko for a test at the river, where the water spirit deems him trustworthy. Although still considered weird, Vit'ko is accepted by the villagers and meets leaders like wise elder Ovsi and mighty warriors Ilya and Dobrynya. The leaders don't believe Vit'ko's claim of being from the future until he proves it with the megaphone. When he asks to return to his time, Ovsi promises to investigate. In the meantime, Vit'ko stays with Rosanka and her mother, and Oleshko takes him there as an excuse to talk to Rosanka, the girl he's interested in. Later in the evening, Ovsi shares news after talking to the river spirit. Vit'ko has 2 ways to return to the future. He can wait for another eclipse to reopen the portal, or he can find a mage to teach him to open it forcefully. Oleshko knows where to find a mage, but isn't sure if Vit'ko should go because mages often subject people to tough trials before helping them. Vit'ko proposes a deal. If Oleshko trains him, he'll gift him his megaphone. Oleshko agrees, and Vit'ko spends a few days in the village learning sword skills, archery, and self-defense tips. He also explores the watchtower, which overlooks the kingdom, and meets Tuharan, a Kuman prisoner fascinated with gifts. As part of their deal, Oleshko learns about modern objects like bubblegum and cell phones and discovers he's a fairy tale knight in the future. After completing his training, Vit'ko gives Oleshko the megaphone, and Oleshko provides him with a map to find the Maj. Vit'ko promises not to inform the leaders about his departure, as leaving the stronghold is forbidden. Oleshko visits Rosanka using the megaphone to get her out without her mother noticing, but she remains unimpressed. The next morning, the Kuman shaman casts a spell on a raven to spy on Vit'ko, who has left the village and is crossing the forest. Unsure if he's following Oleshko's map correctly, Vit'ko meets Olenka, gathering mushrooms, and convinces her to be his guide. Without noticing the spying raven, they walk for hours until they enter a passage between rock walls. Suddenly, Vit'ko finds himself in a desolate land, an illusion created by the mage. The mage's voice asks Vit'ko to confess his greatest fear for knowledge, and without hesitation, Vit'ko shares the story of the car accident, his fear of heights, and how it hindered saving Vovchik. The mage approves of Vit'ko for acknowledging his weakness and shares the information he seeks. The Stone of Power, which can take him back to the future, is where the wingless make their nests. It will be visible when he straddles the wind. The mage warns that only someone able to touch another's heart can find it, but this power can also bring pain and misery. After hearing the riddle, Vit'ko returns to the forest, and Olenka doesn't realize he was gone. When he shares his experience, Olenka guesses that the nest for the wingless refers to Stork Village. They reach the village, and Vit'ko uses a makeshift kite to straddle the wind, as the riddle suggested. The kite falls into the water, leading Vit'ko to the Stone of Power. The spying raven informs the shaman, who sends Cuman soldiers to steal the stone. The ruthless Cumans not only kidnap Vit'ko and Olenka, but also kill villagers and set their houses on fire. The Stronghold's watchtower alerts Ilya, Dobrynya, and Oleshko, who easily defeat the Cumans but miss an archer hidden in the woods. Vit'ko spots the archer and uses his bow to stop him before he can shoot. Vit'ko and Olenka are scolded for leaving, but Ilya promises to guide Vit'ko the next day. Meanwhile, Andako is furious with the shaman for the failed plan and threatens him. The next morning, Vit'ko places the Stone of Power on the rock that brought him to the past, but nothing happens. Vit'ko believes it has to do with the hearts mentioned in the riddle, while Ovsi thinks they need to wait for a storm to activate the stone's power. Upon returning to the Stronghold, Vit'ko discovers that Ovsi is an inventor trying to create a flying machine. Seeing a lack of knowledge, Vit'ko teaches Ovsi about aerodynamics, using a paper plane as an example. From then on, Vit'ko and Ovsi team up to make working wings. Vit'ko also spends time with Olenka, who shares local legends, including one about star-crossed lovers leaving behind a stone heart. To thank her, Vit'ko gives her a cute paper bird. Meanwhile, the shaman plans a new spell, and Ilya captures a Cuman soldier who reveals Andako knows about the stone. Ovsi suggests hiding it atop the watchtower, encouraging Vit'ko to face his fear. Though nervous, Vit'ko rides the elevator to the top. Ovsi hides the stone inside an old rock, and this is seen by the shaman's magic, who decides the time has come. A storm arrives, and Olenka tries to express her feelings to Vit'ko. The rain starts, hitting a caged prisoner, Tuharin. Vit'ko covers his cage, earning Olenka's admiration. That night, lightning damages the Stronghold wall, and Tuharin escapes, reaching the Cuman camp. Tuharin, Andako's brother, brings the Stone of Power, but the shaman fails to use it. They need Vit'ko to activate it. Next morning, people in the Stronghold find out that Tuharin and the stone are gone. To reclaim it, Vit'ko and Ovsi focus on finishing the flying machine. Later, Ovsi and Olenka are ambushed. Ovsi returns wounded, revealing Olenka's capture. He dies, and Olenka is taken to Andako, who sends a message to Vit'ko through the stolen paper bird. Vit'ko decides to rescue Olenka alone. At the Cuman camp, he's tasked to activate the stone or risk their lives. Vit'ko improvises a mystical act with fireworks, creating chaos. He rescues Olenka, but Andako captures them again. Vit'ko deciphers the riddle, realizing the magic lies in the human bond. Activating the stone, the shaman takes it for their army. Andako orders Tuharin to kill them, but he can't bring himself to do it because he remembers how kind Vit'ko had been to him, so Tuharin spares them, resulting in his death. The next morning, Vit'ko and Olenka return to the Stronghold and tell everyone about the coming Cuman attack. All the soldiers and the 3 Bogatyr warriors get ready to defend their home. But then, something unexpected happens. The Cuman army brings a giant golem controlled by the shaman with the power of the stone. The Stronghold shoots catapults at it, but they don't do any damage. The golem even throws one of the boulders back, breaking the gate. Seeing the immense size and weight of the golem, Oleshko comes up with a plan. He leaves the stronghold to lure the golem, skillfully dodging its slow attacks until he makes it trip and fall into the river. The water spirit captures the golem, and Oleshko falls into the river too. This worries Rozanka, who runs to the shore to cry for him. Luckily, Oleshko is unharmed, and Rozanka rewards his bravery with a kiss. At that time, a new eclipse starts. Vit'ko says bye to Olenka, grabs a horse, and rushes to the portal rock. Unfortunately, Andako sees the eclipse as a chance to attack. Under the leadership of the Bogatyr trio, villagers defend against the Kuman army. Andako decides to retreat, but the shaman controls the golem for another attack. Vit'ko, seeing this, returns to the stronghold with a plan. Remembering Ovsi's words, Vit'ko conquers his fear, takes the elevator, and climbs onto the flying machine. While the golem starts destroying the stronghold, Vit'ko lands on the cliff, pushing the shaman off and reclaiming the Stone of Power. Andako arrives to steal the stone, but Vit'ko throws it into the water, causing the golem to disintegrate. Furious, Andako wants to kill Vit'ko, but Oleshko arrives in time, defeating Andako in a sword battle. With Andako gone, there's no time to celebrate as the eclipse is ending. Oleshko takes Vit'ko to the forest to find the portal. Before leaving, Olenka says goodbye, kisses him, and promises to wait. Entering the portal, Vit'ko returns to the present, where Vovchik is still hanging on the cliff. Unafraid of heights now, Vit'ko rescues him, earning applause from his classmates. A year later, Vit'ko's mother surprises him with a sought-after ancient book. Following its clues, Vit'ko finds the stone heart, feeling Olenka's presence in the past through it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notification and leave a like to help the channel out.